Hello and welcome. I'm Otis Landerholm, founder of Landerholm Immigration A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And I'm here today with another immigration case of the week. And this week I wanted to talk about a relatively new case. It's called Matter of JRGP. We just show the initials when there's confidentiality issues. For example, when someone files for asylum, which was the case with Mr. JRGP. This case was decided by the Board of Immigration Appeals on October 31st of this year, of 2018. And this case involves the Convention Against Torture, all right? We call it a CAT case, Convention Against Torture case, all right? The issue in this case really is if someone, imagine someone is mentally ill. Imagine someone's mentally ill, all right, and they're afraid to go back to their country, not because they've ever been tortured in the past, but because all of the mental health institutions and the criminal justice system and all of the country conditions in their home country show that people with their mental illness really get mistreated, all right? So imagine that's the situation and you're in immigration court and you're like, look, I don't want to go back to my country because I'm really going to be mistreated because of my mental illness, all right? So now, in this case, that's what this gentleman was arguing, and that's what his attorneys were arguing on his behalf. And he wasn't eligible for asylum, all right? Because asylum you have to file within 1 year of your entry into the United States, and there are certain other eligibility requirements, all right? He also wasn't eligible for withholding of removal. I'm not going to go into that right now either. So his only application that was decided by the BIA in this case was his application for relief under the Convention Against Torture, all right? Now what the law said, and what this case said, is that unfortunately, even though the conditions for mentally ill folks in mental health institutions and whenever they're put into the criminal justice system, even though they are deplorable, even though they are worse than bad, even though they're really bad, all right? What they said is that for the Convention Against Torture, you actually have to show a specific intent. You've got to show that they intentionally made it bad in order to do that type of harm to these specific people, and specifically to the guy who's applying for this relief, all right? And so what they said is that the badness of the situation in mental health institutions, it's not really, what they found is it is not specifically intended to torture people. Instead, it's just kind of negligent, right? They're not intending to do that harm. They're just either poorly educated or not really creating the structures that they ought to, or they don't have, they haven't decided to put the money into having better institutions for folks, all right? And so what they said is that, unfortunately, because of the wording of the Convention Against Torture, there's no specific intent, and so because of that, this gentleman's case was denied. And he appealed it to the Board of Immigration Appeals, and the Board of Immigration Appeals said, no, the immigration judge got it right. Convention Against Torture requires specific intent to torture. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is it is not easy to win a CAT claim, all right? And while this was some good arguments that they were making, the law is very narrow, and it's very specific, and we've got to show, if you're applying for CAT, we've got to show that it's more likely than not that you're going to be tortured if you go back to your country, and that torture needs to be either at the hands of or at the acquiescence of your country, and it's got to be with a specific intent to do it, to do harm to you, okay? So thank you very much for watching this. Hope that all made sense. and stay tuned for another immigration case of the week at some point in the future. And thank you for joining me. I'm Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Thank you.